This comes to us from Ohio, my brother. He says, breaking. The Japan Fair Trade Commission has applied administrative measures under the Antimonopoly Act, including the commitment procedure, to Visa on suspicion of violating the act. So we don't even need to wait for America to do something about this, because now Japan is stepping in, allegedly, which we'll go into in just a second. They followed up saying, today, for the first time in Japan, an administrative penalty was imposed on an international credit card brand. Do you understand what this means? I sincerely hope that from now on, Japan will thoroughly pursue and address all issues related to credit cards. So once again, very based Japan. This is Yahoo Japan, which if I refresh, it goes from Japanese to English with the Google Translate. We're going to do our best to get through this to see what it says. But yeah, this is a real story. Japan is taking action against Visa. It says Visa takes administrative action on suspicion of violating antitrust law. Japan Fair Trade Commission applies commitment procedure. Again, guys, Google Translate, so it might not sound proper, but it is Japan taking action on Visa, even though it says Visa taking action on Japan. On the 22nd, the Japan Fair Trade Commission applied administrative sanctions and commitment procedures under the Antimonopoly Act to Visa Worldwide Singapore, Asia Pacific regional headquarters of the international credit card brand Visa, for suspected violations of the Antimonopoly Act, which is unfair trade practices, regarding, and this is the biggest thing here, transaction conditions with business partners. And this is starting back from, I believe, December of 2024, when Visa was first caught not allowing the purchase of specific mangas and X-rated adult stuff, saying that it hurt their image, it hurt their brand. And it's like, by doing that, they killed a company instantly. That was their brand, that's what they sold. And they couldn't make ends meet because Visa is international. That's how people purchase things. According to the JFTC, this is the first time that administrative sanctions have been imposed on an international credit card brand, including Visa, the largest in the industry, and boasting the second largest market share in Japan. There's the diagram. If you speak Japanese and figure out what a monopoly is, there you go. July 2024, the Japan Fair Trade Commission conducted an on-site inspection of Visa's Japanese subsidiary on suspicion of violations of the Antimonopoly Act. It also investigated overseas affiliates, including U.S. headquarters. The commitment procedure is one of the administrative sanctions aimed at early problem resolution through an agreement between the Japan Fair Trade Commission and a business operator. This month, Visa submitted a voluntary improvement plan in which it committed to eliminating acts of suspected being illegal and to report on the status of its implementation for 5 years under third-party supervision. And the Japan Fair Trade Commission determined that this plan was effective in preventing recurrence. So what I'm understanding from this right here is Visa is voluntarily telling Japan, hey, we're going to have a unconnected third-party supervisor make sure, review what we're doing to say that we're not being anti-business or monopolistic or whatever. We're not breaking any antitrust laws with your company or with your country. We can prove it because we have an unconnected, unaffiliated third party reviewing everything we're doing and giving us the okay that, yeah, it's totally fine. And apparently, according to this, Japan Fair Trade Commission agreed that that would be an effective plan to move forward. As a result, the FTC did not find Visa to have violated the Antimonopoly Act and refrained from taking more coercive administrative measures, such as a cease and desist order or in order to pay a surcharge. So what I'm reading between the lines here, and I could be completely off base when I say this, but it sure as hell sounds to me like someone's pockets are being greased. Visa is paying people off and politicians saying, hey guys, we're sorry. You caught us dead to rights doing all this monopolistic shit, completely pushing companies around with our power. But maybe, potentially, we could give you some money behind the scenes. You let this thing slide, and we'll just say we got a third party reviewing us moving forward, and we don't get slapped on the wrist, and everything's good moving forward. That's what I'm taking out of this. Not saying that happened, but man, what a suspicious turn of events for not even a slap on the wrist, not even a order to pay a surcharge, no cease and desist. Visa is allowed to continue operations as normal, and nothing is changing with Japan except for now. And it's not forever, by the way. This is the other crazy thing. Implementation for 5 years under third-party supervision. So it's only going to be for 5 years. What about after the 5 years? What then? They just go right back to what they were doing? And who's to say that the third party that's unaffiliated is not going to be impacted by someone at Visa to make sure that they're all buddy-buddy behind the scenes with what's happening? This is very suspicious. This is very suspicious. But at least we have some movement, some actions being taken for Visa to admit fault in what they were doing and trying to fix the issue. And again, from my brother, they said, considering the global influence Visa and MasterCard have, they can hurt Japan a lot more than it can hurt them. Which, great point, which would be another reason why Japan would be hesitant to slap them with any kind of fines or slap on the wrist with anything, because they need Visa far more than Visa needs them. Think about that. Hopefully this will snowball and other countries will jump in too. This is great news. Let's hope more countries will apply sanctions on Visa and make Visa a warning to all other payment companies and banks. Visa needs to hurt badly. Well, this is people that clearly didn't read the article, because the sanction that was placed on Visa is just a third party is going to review what they're doing. It's not really a sanction. That's just business will continue as normal. Just someone's going to just give an okay, a stamp of approval, which I don't even know how that's even possible with all the businesses that Visa works with. What? Unless it's just the ones that they're declining. And even then, I'm like, that's still sketch. But yeah, this is Japan taking some sort of action on Visa. Enough, though? No. It's agreed. Sir Spamalot, agreed. It's just a walk around. Dystopian. Me A2B says, you need biggies to fight biggies. Elon is the only one that can, and he already on it, which actually kind of brings me to my next point. Let me bring that up here. Hold on a second. Madam Savvy, Odd X, said, I have to thank Collective Shout. Without them, the noise would not have been louder. Thanks to a group actually wanting to take blame, it sent waves through the creative world. Overseas, here in the USA, it became a global story. The payment processors could be swayed by 5 60-year-old losers on a prison island. Now, payment processors will be looked into. Discussion of laws and contacting of representatives have happened because, once again, gamers have to save the world from tyranny, which I know it's kind of like, if you're not a gamer and you're just like not a part of what's happening right now, you think it's a ridiculous thing to say that gamers are saving the world from tyranny. But it really does it always comes down to the last stand is always the gamers. And there's no one more stubborn. It isn't the feminists doing anything to stop the anti-woman group. It isn't our good and moral leftist activists stopping the anti-abortion, anti-expression group. It's freaking gamers. The discussion was opened. People are asking questions, and the world will combat this BS. To think a bunch of Australians impacting an American company would trigger an investigation in Japan. So it's people are trying to take a victory lap saying, oh, collective shout lost and collective shout shouldn't be cheering us on. But we just read in this article that there are no real sanctions happening against Visa. It's just a third party, non-connected group is going to oversee Visa for 5 years to give a stamp of approval on what they're doing. That doesn't mean much, but I will say it is a step in the right direction. And it is hopefully a positive step that other countries will follow suit and actually take actions against Visa for what they're doing. But I'll leave that one there. Ipicasai National for the 5-bagger. What they're doing is just to pacify people. All the while, the payment processors will be given free rein to keep censoring, but it won't work. That is my concern with it. But at least the temperature in the room has been raised. Everyone's on high alert. And if it happens another time somewhere else, there's going to be like absolute meltdown on the internet hell to pay. Because it's already getting to lengths of this can't be happening. We see the slippery slope that's starting to go down, and yikes, it's not great.